I was like, are they trying to say that we have to worship on a Sunday? You understand? So I was of the opinion that they are trying to lead the Adventist church back to Rome, because when you look at it, every church, when you look at Revelation chapter 17, you will notice that the Catholic Church has daughters. All of those daughters, all those Protestant churches who protested what the Catholic Church stood for, and that's why we got Martin Luther and all these fellas that came out of the Catholic Church and started the Great Reformation. These people, all those churches, after those founding fathers have died off, have gone back to the Catholic Church. Okay? They have all gone back to the Catholic Church. And it is sad. It is really, really sad. You understand? And I can't understand for the life of me what is going on. Right? Because when all of them have gone back, when all of them now have gone back, the only church that have not gone back yet is the Adventist Church. The Adventist Church has not yet gone back.
Hello family, welcome back.
Right? I'll put up a little clip here that I observed where this guy is clearly showing that Jesuits are in the Adventist Church. It clearly shows that the Jesuits are active in the Adventist Church, and they are now coming out. They are coming out in the open. They are coming out in the open. Right? They are coming out in the open. They don't seem to care.
We've blamed Catholics, the papacy in particular, for changing the day of worship. And we believe that we are called to explain that and to proclaim the truth. John Andrews thought that he had found proof that the papacy had changed the day. In 1982, Review and Herald published a book of Adventist scholarship, up-to-date Adventist scholarship, that demonstrated that Andrews' conclusion was incorrect. The rise of first-day observance was much more complex. But even in our popular evangelism today, we still blame the papacy for the change of the Sabbath. In Daniel 8:13 and 14, we claim a mandate to preach a true understanding of the high priesthood of Christ in the heavenly sanctuary over against the Catholic teaching of the Mass. Thus, our negative perceptions of Catholicism lie very close to our core sense of identity and our sense of mission as Adventists. It seems to be part of our DNA. The discomfort with your suggestions about revisiting these attitudes perhaps is understandable. Does your presentation today, Dr. Brunsma, imply that we might need to move beyond the anti-Catholic...
There is no way I'm going to change from what we believe. All right? Now, if the pastors in the Adventist Church who are paid by the conference have to mash them out, there are many, many persons like me, Brother Lawrence, all these different people that have access to the internet and has a voice. And if even the banners of the internet will go on the side of the road. Understand? There is no way that rank and file Adventists, core believers of Adventist principles, will ever agree with what our Mr. was now saying there. Right? There is no way. Right? I don't care what degree, what doctorate, it doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter. What they have, what they ain't have, we don't really care. Understand? We're not going along with that. Okay? It is not going to happen. Right? It's just not going to happen. They could say what they want, they could do what they want. There is no way on God's green earth that we will just sit down and just say, well, all right, the Catholic Church is this and that. No. Okay? That ain't gonna happen. Okay? That is not going to happen. No day, no time, no way. Revelation 12:9 identifies the dragon as Satan, but Satan worked through human agencies. In Revelation 12, the dragon working through pagan Rome attempts to destroy Christ, where they try to destroy Christ working through the Catholic Church. So we don't know already what them is about. We already know what they are all about. And there was given unto him a mouth to speak great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months, to open his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, heaven. So we know full well that Satan is out there doing what he want, making all kind of manama, right? The prophecies are there, the 42 months, 1260 years, right? It is there, right? It is there, right? 42 months, 1260 years. I have given you a day for a year. It is very, very clear. Everything is laid out. They cannot come now and say Rome has changed. Rome cannot change. There is no ecumenical movement here with us, right? And all these learned men in all these universities in Loma Linda and Oakwood and all these big seminaries, Adventist and Catholic seminaries, there are no common ground between the Adventists and the Catholics. We don't want that, right? Right? Satan will never shake hands. I mean, Jesus will never shake hands with Satan. So why we must shake hands with the Catholics? Right? I'm not talking about the Catholic people, no. I'm talking about the Catholic system, the belief system. We cannot align ourselves with that. That is madness. Right? The church, the Catholic Church started in 538. Valgalas ascended the papal chair in 538 AD under a military protection of Belisarius. Right? So we have all the dates here. We have everything here. We have all the evidences here. The legally recognized supremacy of the Pope began in 538 AD when they went on into effect and declare and by a decree of Emperor Justinian, making the Bishop of Rome head over all the churches and the definer of doctrine and correct. And we comment on that. Right? So we see where we have the history, and I'm giving you more detail because I always teach about Revelation 13, but tonight I'm just going into a more deeper detail, getting more points. I got some more slides so we could get it more detail, right? So we see where the Roman Church has been formed, and before it was pagan Rome, where you had all these pagan beliefs and so on, right? Where you had the Roman Empire, right? They switched over to papal Rome, right? Where the supreme power now is the head of the church is the Pope, which he still became. It was like no difference. It just switched from one being an emperor to one being a priest, but the priest is still like an emperor. La Banca, professor of history in the University of Rome, says, to the succession of the Caesar came the successor of the pontiff in Rome. When Constantine left Rome, he gave his seat, and that's why the Pope is also known as Maximus. I forget the word. History identified this power. The transfer of the empire residence to Constantinople was a sad blow to the prestige of Rome. At the time, one might have predicted a speedy decline, but the development of the church and the growth and the growing authority of the Bishop of Rome or the Pope gave her a new lease on life and made her again the capital. This time, the religious capital of the civilized world. Right, so we have the history here tonight. We have all the history. We've got a lot of quotations. I'm not sure if I'll be able to go through every one, but there's a lot here. Right? Revelation 13:7, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given him over all. Do you believe that? Do you understand that? Every tongue and nation, right? Every tongue and nation is under the auspices of the Pope. And you better believe it, right? You better believe it, because that is what is going on now. That is what is going on before our very eyes. Every nation, all of them is under the auspices of the Pope. You don't believe that, eh? But that is how it is, because all the laws of this land is given with a lot of input from the Catholic Church. Even in Adventism, I understand this week here that when Adventists going to set up universities all in Australia to get the university there certified, they had to employ that came out in that same conference there where they're saying there are commonalities, but those things are small things. We talking about spiritual things, them talking about them help us with some law to get our school accredited. That is why we should join with them. That is the kind of old talk them coming with there, right? In this ecumenical movement, right? We don't want no ecumenical movement, my friend. Right? The rank and file members who have the head screw on right do not want no economical movement. The Pope filled the palace of the Vatican Roman emperors at Rome, inheriting their power, prestige, and titles from paganism. Constantine left all to the Bishop of Rome. The papacy is but a ghost of the deceased Roman Empire sitting crowned. The Roman Empire died, right? Pagan Rome died, papal Rome come in, and it's like no difference. It's like no difference. And they continue what Justinian was doing. The church has persecuted left, right, and center. May have divine right, right? Confiscating the property of heretics, imprison their persons, and condemn them to the flames. In our age, the right to inflict the severest penalties, even that belong to the church, the Catholic Church. Right? There is no graver offense than heresy. Therefore, it must be rooted out. Look what we quoted from there. They must root out heresy. You know what is a heretic? A heretic is a person like me who reading the Bible for themselves and not depending on a Catholic priest. That is what they believe is a heretic. And I saw one of the heads as it was wounded to death, right? And his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, right? Let's take this one a little slow. And I saw that one of his heads, as it were wounded. What that text is talking about there, right, is when France, atheistic France, used a Tabagonian, Berthe, to arrest the Pope and put him in a dungeon, and it died. That the entire faith of the Catholic Church died. Not the faith, but the political arm of the church died. When that Pope was put in incarceration, and I understand he was put in a dungeon where it was deep underground, snow, and no heating. So he basically froze to death. So in 1798 is when that incident happened. And look, we have the timeline here. When it started, I told you when it started with Justinian, and it ended when Napoleon recalled Berthe from Tobago. And that is why I call him a Tobagoan, because a French general that was stationed in Tobago, he was recalled to France, and I think his first assignment was to arrest the Pope. He arrested the Pope in 1797, and in 1978 he was in dungeon in chains, and the Catholic Church, the political end of the Catholic Church more or less ended. So we see where the persecution now of the Catholic Church seemed to have been ceased a little bit, right? And at that same time, 1798, guess what was happening around that same time, right? And I saw one of his head that it was wounded to death. Around that same exact time, my friends, we saw the Americans coming in, the American state being formed, right? Here's the other quotation here. In 1798, Berthe made his entrance into Rome, abolished the papal government, the government, and established a secular one, the encyclopedia, right? So we see where when Berthe came through, he entered Rome, right? And I have here also the exact date. Berthe entered Rome on the 10th of February 1798 and proclaimed a republic, right? So I was a little bit wrong with my history just now there. We have it in the quotation here. Half Europe through Rome's veto would be obeyed, and that with the Pope and papacy was dead, the modern papacy, right, half of Europe thought Napoleon's veto would be obeyed, and that with the Pope and the papacy was the way the thing went politically. Church History, page 24, states, the murder of a Frenchman in Rome in 1798 gave the French an excuse for occupying the eternal city and putting an end to the papal papal temporary power, the aged pontiff himself was carried off into exile to Venice. The enemies of the church rejoiced. The last pope, they declared, had resigned. Right? We see here now, where we're moving on now, to Revelation 13 verse 3. Right? And I saw one of his head that it was wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And all after some time, the Catholic Church regained his power, and power was given unto him over all kindreds and tongue and nations. I read earlier on, and some people don't seem to believe that. But he is ruling over all the world. And they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him? And he, right, shall worship him. Those names are not written, right? Whose names are not written in the Lamb's book of life, slain from the foundation of the world. That is Revelation 13 verse. Right? So we see whereby if your head is not screwed on right, if you don't have the faith of Jesus Christ, if you don't understand the prophecies, if you don't understand the testimonies, you will end up taking the mark of the beast. You have to make up your mind to get your name written in the Lamb's book of life. And there are some people with the name will never wrote there. Right? I used to be with a lady that I talked to that lady all her, send all kind of videos. And that lady said, tell me, don't send no more videos. She's not changing. She's not coming out of where she is. I don't know if it's because of pride or whatever. She's not changing. And there is some people, the name is just not written in the Lamb's book of life. The Jews answered him, saying, For a good work we stone thee not, but for blasphemy, and because thou art being a man. Right? So we see where the Catholic Church is putting up themselves and their priests and their pope in the position of God. Here's what it says in 2 Thessalonians 2:4. What does it say? He opposed and exalted himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself. And this is the madness that we are going through here since 538. The Pope is showing himself as God, whether we like it or not. The Pope is of so great dignity and so exalted that he is not a mere man, but as it were God and the vicar of God. That is what they have. He is the vicar of God. That is what he's saying. Blasphemy. Watch it again here. Blasphemy. Watch it again here. And the scribes and the Pharisees began to reason, saying, Who is this which speaketh blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God alone? So the Pharisees are saying, but only when Christ was forgiven sin and so on, the Pharisees perceived Christ as a mere man. So they reasoned that he was committing blasphemies. What does the Catholic Church, what does the Pope do? What does all these priests do? You go to confession and they forgive your sins. And this is a major blunder. Right? This thing is affecting Jesus Christ in heaven. How many Catholics we have on earth? We have nearly 2 billion Catholics on earth. And all of them confessing to the priests. So when those prayers supposed to be going up as sweet incense into the heavenly sanctuary, and Jesus offering it up to God, 2 billion people prayers not going up there. That is why they say the sanctuary in heaven trample underfoot. You don't understand what's going on yet, eh? And for there is one God and one mediator between God and man. I don't know how the Catholics reach to appoint popes and priests as a mediator, or even Mary. Right? All names which is in scripture are applied to Christ, by virtue of which it is established that he is over the church. All the same names are applied to. I not lying, you know. I pull the thing from the people and them books, and you're seeing for yourself what they are seeing. They are saying that all names which is in scripture are applied to Christ, by virtue of which it is established that he is over the church. All the same names apply to the Pope. So what they are saying is the Pope is God. That's what they're saying. If you don't understand, God himself is obliged to abide by the judgment of his priests, and neither not to pardon according to the refuse or give absolution. The sentence of the priest proceeds, and God subscribes to it. Here is in that quotation there is that the priests and them had the same power of God, or even more power than God. The poor sinner, kneels at his confessor's feet. He knows he is not speaking to an ordinary man, but this is what these people wrote in their books, my friends. Right? So if you're out there looking on, right, you will see for yourself. This is what the Catholic Church has stated, that is another Christ. So we're seeing where, if any man have ear, let them hear. He that leadeth into captivity must go into captivity, and who that is killed with the sword must be killed with a sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints, Romans. Right? We are seeing where all these things are coming to pass. Right? Now, what is happening before us now, this is what is very, very relevant. This is actual present truth at this time. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb. That's the other day I put out a video. Is America speaking like a dragon? It has been speaking like a dragon for many, many years. But some of us not hearing it. We're not really understanding. John Wesley, in his notes on Revelation 13, wrote in 1754, says that the two-horned beast, he is not yet come, though he is not by far off, for he is to appear at the end of the 40 and 2 months of the first. What John Wesley was saying here is that when the 40 and 2 finish, that is when you will see America coming into play, and right on time with prophecy. It happened like clockwork, my friends. It happened like clockwork. He came on right on time. Right on time. The Catholic Church, America came in just as France and the political power of the Catholic Church and sent them in the underground. The American nation came up. The rise of the U.S. 1776, Declaration of Independence. 1783, Independence acknowledged. 1787, Constitution framed. 1791, Bill of Rights added. 1798, the end of the 42 months, they are recognized. The Bible is clear. The prophecies are real. Right? 1863, right? 1863, slaves emancipated. The Bible is very, very clear. The Bible is very clear. Right? And at that time, it was a lamb. Right? Look at what it says here. Congress shall make no law, right, respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise. That time it was a lamb. Right? Look at what it says here again. Right? Look at what it says here again. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust. Under the lamb, my friends. Look at it again, my friends. Look at it again. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable of rights, my friends. So they have been speaking like a lamb. A nation speaks through its laws. Okay? Right? And even this one, right? Here. And even this one here, among these are life, liberty, right, and those are the fundamental lamb qualities of America. America came up just as the Bible said, after 42 months. 42 months is 1,260 days. A day for a year. 1,260 years. Justinian started in 538. Right? It ended in 1798 when Berthier, who was a governor right here in Tobago, right? And he went back to France and arrested the Pope and locked him up in a dungeon where he froze to death. Barefooted. Right? Like a dog. Right? But no. Right? But no. We are seeing 11. And this is coming up on us very, very soon. Right? Because this is my favorite text of scripture. Favorite text of scripture. Right? And then the dragon was enraged with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Right? Went to make war with the rest of or offspring, well, the remnant of a seed, those who keep the commandments of God and have and hold to the testimony. 17, right? So the dragon is coming, right? The dragon is coming, right? Because a lot of people in Europe was under the persecution between 530 to 1798, and a lot of them before 1798 would have left of Pope Pius the 9th, December. You hear what they're saying here? They want to attack the liberty of conscience since 1864. And that is what they have been working to. So this is why you are seeing what you are seeing happening within the Adventist church, where all kind of false doctrines and craziness happening, right? Where you see the spirit of Balaam, right? You see the spirit of Balaam. Yes. You are seeing the spirit of Balaam entering into, and I spoke about it. To be promiscuous refers to the sin of those who pervert the grace of God into the lives of immorality. Right? One trait of false teachers in the church is that they attempt to turn Christian liberty into freedom to be promiscuous. Right? Putting these ideas together gives a clear view of the doctrine of Balaam. It is this attitude that can be fully cooperative with the world and still serve God. That is madness. We cannot be in the world and serve the church. The doctrine of Balaam teaches compromise, wanting Christians to forget they are called to be separate and holy. The doctrine of Balaam makes believers indistinguishable from the unbelieving world. The doctrine of Balaam is the belief that a little sin doesn't hurt, especially if there's some financial or personal benefit involved. That is the spirit of Balaam that is coming among us in Adventism today. The spirit of Balaam. You understand? A little sin. Just a little bit. Right? Let the praise and worship be this way. Let me bring in a sort of tongue speaking. Let us be like the world. That is what is happening. And what we are not seeing, that is the physical manifestation. But the spiritual manifestation, Numbers 22 verse 7, of what is going on with us today. And the elders of the Moabites and the elders of the Midian departed, right, with the rewards of divination in their hand, and they came to Balaam and spake to him words of Balak. And then 18 says, and Balaam answered and said unto the servants of Balak, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of my God to do less or more. And this is the stance we have to have with the Catholic Church. We cannot go beyond what God has said in His Word. If we go beyond, we'll get ourselves in problems. Anytime we go beyond, it's because we'll put ourselves in problems. Anytime we do that. You understand? But people are not understanding where we are in the prophetic time stream. And God's anger was kindled because He went, right? And the angel of the Lord stood in the way of the adversary against him. Now that he was riding upon his ass and his two servants were with him. Right? So my friends, we see here where all of these things are happening and we are still progressing. And the angel of the Lord is telling you, people are speaking out, don't go down that road, don't go down that road, but they are going. But as one pastor said, as I was listening Skeet before I came on here, Pastor Skeet was saying, these things that's happened, right? Don't get vexed, because God does allow certain things to happen for certain other things to happen. You understand? Situations within the church, right? Where we are now mingling ourselves with other churches. We seen Pastor Bird trying that, and it's a long time I've been observing that. He started with I forget this guy. He brought in different artists over time, right? He bring in the other artists, but most times when you bring in people, most times they do not change. They try to change you, right? So this is the frightening part here, that when they bring in people, they don't change. They don't change. They try to change you, right? And when they come in now, instead of you giving them, and they call the people unto the sacrifice of their gods, and all the people did eat and bow down to their gods. So that's the point I am making. You end up in a situation where they tie you up. You understand? Right? And we as Israel, we have to be very, very mindful of the times we are living in and where we are in the prophetic stream of time, and to guard every avenue of our soul. And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. Right? So we have to be careful with all these churches coming in that are not believing what we believe and going into ecumenical arrangements. These things are very dangerous unto us. Understand? These things are very, very dangerous unto us. We have to be very careful as a church, and even as 25 verse 1, very important. It says here, and Israel abode in Shittim, and the people began to commit whoredom with the daughters of Moab. Right? And they called the people unto the sacrifice of their gods, and the people did eat and bow down to their gods. Right? And Israel joined himself unto Baal Peor, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel. So my friends, we cannot afford to put ourselves in that kind of a positions with the evangelicals or with the Catholics. Right? Those people back then did it physically. We know, and in that time it was a physical and spiritual application. In our time now, we are doing a spiritual application by joining ecumenical movement. That's why I keep speaking against ecumenical engagements. We are not to put ourselves in that situation at all, at all, at all. Understand, my friends? We are not to put ourselves in that position. It is very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. Get back now to the substantive. I just did a little come on for the Catholic, because for the life of me, I am going to pound them. Right? Not the people, no. What the Catholic Church stands for. The Roman Catholic Church must demand the right to freedom for herself alone. The Roman Catholic Church is to wield his vote for the purpose of securing Catholic ascension. What we are saying here, the Catholic people, right, must vote and put Catholics high up in offices, and that is what happened back in the day when the Catholic Church became a thing, right? And it exercised all the authority of the first beast before him, and exercise and caused the earth and those who dwell up and dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. The first beast was the beast, the Roman power, but was pagan Rome that went to papal Rome from 538 to 1798, that ended in 1798, right? That beast went down, and immediate after, the American nation was formed, right? So this is where we are going now. We are going right there, and it does great wonders, so that it makes fire come down from heaven onto the earth in the sight of men, and it deceives those dwelling on the earth because of the miracles which were given to it to do before the beast, saying to those dwelling on the earth that they should make an image to the beast who had lived the wound. So this is what I'm telling you, my friends. The evangelicals, and we have to look closely at the election that is coming up in America. I've said this many times on this channel. We have to look closely at what is happening, what is coming up in the elections with Kamala and Trump and so on. It does not matter who wins. Kamala is a big time Catholic. Trump is in full support of the Catholic Church. It doesn't matter who wins, my friend. Right? They are going to put things in place to bring in the Sunday law. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship. And I'm telling people over and over and over, the issue is worship. This is what Revelation 13:15 says. It says it plain. Cause is the force. He will cause is the force. He will cause that as many as would not worship. Look at the word here, worship. The image. An image is a reflection. When you look in the mirror, you see an image of yourself. So exactly what happened in 538 to 1798, this is what will be perpetrated against the people of earth via America. Because if you are not keeping what they want you to do, right, you are a heretic. And if you are involved in heresy, you have to be excommunicated. Look at the reflection here again. Look at the reflection here again. Watch. This one here on the left hand side here, that is the Vatican. And this one here is in Washington, where they make all their laws. Doesn't these buildings look so much similar? It's like a pure reflection. Even so, we are seeing where God's law is pure, and the Pope now is coming to try to change the world. Right? How the Pope will change the world? The Pope want to change the world. He's a religious power. He talking about praying for people. That these guys are all about power. All about power. Right? Blaspheme against God. To blaspheme the name and his tabernacle and them that is all the Pope and them want to do. Blaspheme. Now I mentioned Mussolini in my talks in time past. Here we have a picture of papers in San Francisco Chronicle from February 11, 1929. Autographs to the memorable document healing the wound. Extreme cordiality was displayed on both sides. Right? Mussolini, right? I told you guys that. And Gasp, whoever that is, signs historic Roman when the deadly wound was healed. This is when the Catholic Church regained its political power. It was always there. And power was given him over all kindreds. It was always there. Right? They were worshipped by, and they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, right? And they worshipped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to work more with him, right? And he opened his mouth and blasphemed against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven, right? So it's just like what Satan was saying in the book of Isaiah. Chapter 14 and verse 13. Right? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend unto heaven, and I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like has been saying all along. He want to be as the Most High. Right? He want to be on top. Right? He want to be on top. Who opposeth and exalted himself above all that is called God, all that is worshipped, so that he is as God sitteth in the temple of God. Right? So I just give you back some of the texts we looked at earlier on. Right? The image of the beast represents that form of apostate Protestantism, right, which will be developed when the Protestant church shall seek the aid of civil power of the enforcement of the. So we are seeing where the image of the beast It's Protestant apostate Protestantism. That is Protestantism that are in apostasy, in error, right? They will go and bring civil powers together and get themselves in all kind of problems. There is no escaping. The Pope is 666. His name is Vicarious Filii. And when you interpret those in Roman numerals, you always get 666. Right? And then you have all these different names that he use, Greek and Latin, right? All of them books out. Right? No. Them have the mark. No. And God have them have the mark. And God have his mark. Right? God mark is his sign and his seal. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having a seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, and hurt not the sea, neither the earth, neither the sea, nor the tree,